p.m. I'd like to call to order the policy subcommittee, Wednesday, September 4th. Roll call. Gary's excused. We have, Marissa, you have the roll call. May I please hear a motion for approval of the agenda?
So moved. Second.
And approval of the minutes for anyone that was here at the last meeting, which would have been June, right?
Yes.
July, June. Mr. Knight?
I was here. I will second that if Bill moved it.
Okay. Public participation, people in the room, did you want to speak?
I'm good.
Okay.
She's the new para
Oh, good, okay.
added addition. Thank you.
Oh, to our
think of the word.
subcommittee,
I remember.
excellent. Nice to meet you, welcome.
Thank you.
Josh, nobody's on the line? No. Okay. All right, so we have one policy before us tonight. I'm not sure if anybody had a chance to read it. It's the use of credit cards. The point behind this really is because our central office staff has repeatedly had to use their own personal credit cards for software licensing and a number of different things that sometimes they expire, people leave, and we get shut down because the credit cards aren't available. So there was a suggestion to order a corporate card for the use in central office. There'll be a line item on our budget that shows in debits and credits, or however it works, with a breakdown of everything that's been purchased. And that's really the extent of it. It was pretty self-explanatory. So with that.
Sometimes we run into situations where we need something, like as Sue said, we need to pay for a software license, or, I don't know, is it a good example to use your conference?
Yeah, you can use that, but I have another good example too, but yes.
Yeah, when we're using our own personal credit cards, which doesn't sound like an awful thing because we do submit for reimbursement, but the auditors are not happy about this at all. It isn't a clean, healthy way to do business. They repeatedly ask us not to continue this practice. What's your other?
My other example that I will give is recruitment. So there are several recruitment sites that I use
That you subscribe to?
that you subscribe to that will only allow me to pay for it with a credit card. So I put it on my personal credit card, and then every month I get reimbursed for that because it's the only way, like ZipRecruiter. The only way I can get onto ZipRecruiter is if I put in a personal credit card and I actually get billed on my credit card and I get it back. And LinkedIn too, if I ever want to use the paid version of LinkedIn, I put my personal credit card in so that I can boost the post, they call it, right?
Yes.
You can boost it.
Yeah.
And the only way I can do that. So I have several recruitment sites right now that have my own personal credit cards attached to them that when I use them, I put them in and I get reimbursed for them.
And
So
if there's anything that we're doing where there's a tax assessed, we do not get reimbursed for the tax.
Right.
Because our own personal accounts are not tax exempt, right?
Same, right.
So, yeah. Most districts have
Still for them to
have a district
Yeah, they shouldn't
account.
have to eat that cost.
Right.
I just had a question.
Okay, go, Mr. Kisco and then Ms. Sterling.
Huge no-brainer as far as how that works for a group, because I'm on the Early Head Start Policy Council, and we get the credit card report every month, and it's all the things that you're talking about. And it just, what they are,
You
it makes
review
sense.
it
It's
and-
not a problem. It becomes a part of your meeting, and it's a
Done.
2-second discussion.
Yeah, and we'll probably put it in budget, Ellen. It'll show up on your line item every month. Already had a meeting.
Yeah, just a question, and this may not fit. I know like Amazon, not to bring up a huge thing, is part of the, would that be something that would be allowed for the example is for class night? You cannot order from like, they used to call a place called, I think it was like Stumps or something. So like prom, decorations, class night sort of stuff, so everything has to
Tax
come through.
exempt, you mean?
Well, Amazon owns it now?
We have an Amazon account.
but we have a district Amazon account.
Okay, so that's okay, never mind.
Yeah, you should.
I'll have to talk to you guys
Call us
separately.
tomorrow and we'll hook
okay.
you up on that.
There you go.
Because when I need something
Even
from
better.
Amazon,
Excellent.
Lisa gets through the
Okay.
Amazon account, so we have a
Excellent.
district Amazon account.
Good.
That's why I was
And
like,
then it-
maybe this isn't a question for you.
No, excellent question, because I didn't know you guys didn't know that, so.
Yeah, I don't think at the schools, but because
We can help.
we can do it here.
Like that,
Yeah.
okay,
Like, I think if you need something,
got it.
we can help you out on it.
Yep,
Go ahead, Ellen.
Usually credit cards are in a person's name.
Corporate cards? Then if you wanna do, I don't know, I think it's what you're looking at American Express, you could do an American Express in the name of Torrington Public Schools and you have authorized users.
Yeah, that's how we have like our Big Y card, right, and our Home Depot card.
Right,
It's
That's,
not,
that's different than a credit card with a bank.
That's a credit card though. The
I know,
bank- Home Depot's-
I know, it's a card with Home Depot, and it's
Yeah.
not in a person's name, but like say Bank of America,
Mhm.
okay? We have that, but we have 16 people that can use credit card and I reconcile it every month. But it's in their name
Right.
only.
And it could be, that's the way your district chooses to do it. I
That's
think
the
they
bank.
need to look
It has
up
to be in a
if it's Bank of
person's name.
America, if it's
Okay.
Bank of America, cause I have the same thing
I
at
don't know.
where I work. Everybody has their own separate card with the company name on it, but that's their that's by choice, and I think it's cause there's that many cards. So if, let's take one step at a time, the policy is approving the use of a corporate credit card. It doesn't say anything about anybody's name on it. There's a limit, it's a $10,000 limit, and it's a district card, so at a minimum, it's gonna be Michael and Sue.
we would have one card. It would
Yes.
be in a locked place in this office.
But I think the question is if
I
it's in
know.
somebody's name or in the district, so if it's,
So that no one would be able to take it and go anywhere.
Correct. I hear what you're
So
asking.
if the, whatever institution you're
Last
getting the
sentence
card from, that would have to
They
be.
require names, right?
The
Well,
names of
depends.
individuals authorized to
They
use
usually do.
I can
will be
say with
maintained
our
by the district
PTO
business official.
accounts that we have through
Doesn't say.
TMTFCU, it says, like, for example, mine said Forbes PTO listed. So I
It's your
don't know,
So I
Yeah.
can't go to Big Y and take your card and use it in your name, cause that's fraudulent.
right,
It has to be you in your name.
right,
So,
but that's PTO, I mean, I don't know how to.
well, I mean,
And
that's
that's what I'm
any
saying.
card, but I
Yeah.
think,
I think they're all, yeah.
but also back to the accounting.
okay,
It can be accounted for in a report for, okay, this is what happened,
Mhm.
but within New World, it really has to go to the department where it belongs. If it's an IT expense, it goes to IT, if it's, I don't know, something else, it needs to go
to
into,
where, yeah,
where it belongs.
the
There can be-
expense does. The
Absolutely.
expense, yeah. But there's also, had a brief conversation about having a separate line item so that you can see, because you know the question is gonna come up. If there's $500 in IT, was it, you know, just to have a separate credit, a line for that corporate account, whatever it might be, that X amount was spent, because then you're not gonna be able to track, there's a $10,000,
Well, that
limit.
would be in the vendor is the credit card name,
so it has its own row.
that's the vendor.
Right. So it has its
Yeah.
own row, yes or no?
But, no,
It won't have, so you don't want your own
That's-
separate line item on the budget report.
but what I'm saying is, in the budget, you would have, it would be a vendor, just like, I don't know,
Say
Amazon is a vendor.
American Express, say it's an American Express card.
Okay, but all the expenses underneath need to go in the right,
Absolutely,
Where they belong.
absolutely,
so
that's
they're
a,
not recorded there.
but
the
we,
full
you, so you
expense is
still don't wanna
recorded
see what was used on the credit card for,
I'm not,
okay,
I'm not saying that.
okay. I understand what you're saying, that's basic accounting, what you're talking about right now, it's basic accounting, that's nitty gritty, not the point of this conversation. The point of this conversation is, do we wanna push this policy through the full board? Does central office need a corporate credit card? That's the question.
If they say they do, they
They
do.
do.
Right.
They're adults, so if they need it.
Well, they
need it.
have, they do, because of all the reasons that we just outlined.
And there's more and more and more
And it's-
vendors requiring
Yeah.
credit cards.
And it's not fair to them to have to wait
Use
for
their own- right,
their
use their own
reimbursement, and let's be
cards.
honest, it's probably not happening within that same credit card cycle, so you're paying interest on it when you
Correct.
don't have the payment. Yeah,
It's a nightmare.
yeah.
Google was another example, right? Google wanted a credit card for when we were doing the Google phone.
Google, yes, they
Yes.
wanted a credit
Google
card.
said it was an act of Congress to get them to send us an invoice instead of taking a credit card. And like, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah,
I mean,
several
Sue's
Phone calls
example,
later.
right,
Yeah.
Sue's example, when she first opened the conversation, that really did happen to us. We had an employee
Yes.
use her own personal credit card because we had to, and then left the district, and we were suddenly left
We had
Without
crash.
no
without,
software systems.
correct, because she canceled her credit card and
Didn't tell
and
anybody.
we didn't know
That
because
was
she was
nice.
long gone, and there we were, like, what the heck is happening?
I would,
Yeah,
I would move that this recommended policy be sent to the full board for consideration and action.
Okay, there is, Ellen, there is a sentence in here, thank you, Bill, that the individual authorized users and or district, whoever it might be, it's saying that it would be reported to the board annually. But it would be more, I don't know that if we need to change that or not, it would be more than annually. That information is gonna be reported out monthly.
right. Michael said that it would be issued to the Torrington Board of Education and that he would be the only authorized user.
Okay.
Because it's not like we're gonna take it and physically go shopping,
Right.
right? It's gonna be something that
For the
we,
computer, for
Ex-
this.
We're using it for like
Exactly.
subscriptions and things that we have to have a
exactly,
credit
so
card
he would
for.
have to approve every single transaction.
Right, as long as,
Perfect.
right, and as long as you have like, like we have, you have to sign, you get the cards, you have to sign that you won't give it to anyone, and you won't use it for whatever, so make sure legal runs through that and just to cover ourselves,
Yeah.
not that.
But I think to your
But-
question, Ellen, if the answer is probably that Michael would be the authorized user. It would be his name attached to the account if there had to be an individual name as an agent of the Torrington Board of Ed.
Two?
Yeah,
I would think two as
Yeah.
well.
probably
Scott.
Scott.
I
Oh,
guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
It would probably be Michael and Scott would be the two that would.
Michael
We did
and
that
who?
with
Scott.
Scott as well.
Yeah, this is a small enough organization, so that'll work. Everyone sees everyone every day if they want to.
Yes.
Whether they want to or not.
And the reality is if I'm using it for a subscription, once I put it into that account, then it's in there.
Right.
So, so it's
Every
really,
3 years.
you get it, you
update.
take care of it, yes, and you're set.
That'll be good for you guys. All right, so that's, Mr. Knight made a motion to move this to the full board. And then we'll get the breakdown, the information, who's on the card and all that when they do it, when they apply.
Right, right.
All right.
Which paragraph was that in, Sue?
That was the first paragraph, last sentence that I was talking about.
Annually, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so it may be quarterly, Kim, or something.
You wanna, that's
monthly,
what I was
don't know,
asking, is
whatever
did you
the
wanna
board decides they
modify
want.
that?
Yeah, the credit card for Head Start, Early Head Start includes things like housing for people going to conferences gets put on the card.
Yeah.
Something called the itty bitty cookie, probably for some reception or,
Yeah,
that's the sort of thing
okay.
they're talking
Yes.
about going on the credit card.
Yeah,
Easy passes on the credit card for people who go to conferences, and as
Something
well as
like that.
membership, talk about membership in the National Head Start Association. So that's the sort of thing where a corporate card is
absolutely,
necessary.
yeah, so they don't have to use their own.
But what were you asking, if you want to modify what, the
Did you wanna
number?
modify that last sentence, was that?
Oh, so it's not reported to the board annually, it's reported quarterly, or it's
I mean, it
reported?
depends, yeah, the information, the names of so that won't change. No, I guess that's that one part of it, cause that's just talking, is that just referring to
Yeah, it's just
who the
referring
authorized
to the
users
names,
Just who the
so that
authorized
needs to be
users are.
Not the
annually,
actual-
or 6 months.
And you wouldn't get it through the same bank that the PTOs use?
We're separate, just separate entities.
I know it's a separate entity, but you can still go through the same bank.
I don't know. I think he was looking at
I think
American
American
Express. I
Express
would
was
rather
one of the
not.
things.
Credit union
Right,
can
I
handle
don't,
this
I don't think he
better.
wants like a credit
No,
union.
not
Yeah.
even
They're a small bank.
Yeah,
Yeah, he wants like an Amex or something.
Well, and a lot of online situations will not take, like, those would be more like
the
debit.
credit, like the
Yeah,
credit
yeah,
union.
yeah, they won't.
Yeah, Amex
For
is
a credit
definitely,
union, right,
for a
that
corporate
might-
card,
might-
American
yeah.
Express is
I'm
really
thinking
better
that,
option.
Which is,
They're all Torrington Municipal Credit Union. They're great, but There's a
Not
lot
Right,
for
right,
those
yeah.
whereas
Right,
there's
yeah.
certain places you can't use, yeah. All right,
Second thought.
I have a
Bill,
motion
Bill,
to
discussions.
discuss.
So Bill had a motion to move, the policy use of credit cards to the full board, and then
I guess
someone
I'll have
moves
a
a
second.
second. Yes, thank you.
Do you wanna amend it to be to the district's business, which we reported to the board?
No, annually, this part,
Okay.
because that's just referring to
Right.
who the names on the card are, that's
Right,
like
and
annually
it
is
still
fine,
can come to the budget.
anytime.
The bill will come every month, and
Exactly.
it can be reported to us as a
Right.
bill that we pay.
That you
In the
look at
monthly
things that you do.
financials, it'll just be part of that report.
Just say if you change occurs, then you wouldn't have to do it all. Only time you actually care to know that is if
No, we should look at it annually. We should look at it once a year. Especially if it's
We
a
probably
credit
have a
card.
due diligence.
It's not gonna change
Right,
anyway,
and
because
that's
nobody's
good.
going
Nobody,
anywhere.
he's not
Well,
leaving.
Nobody's leaving.
But it's also.
It's not gonna change,
I
it's
was
all
thinking
good.
work here, work here.
Yeah.
Right, but it's good for you to look at it annually, especially Scott in the business office, because then you know what's coming next year.
Right,
You know, you know what's
yeah, we should just keep
gonna
an
be
eye on
there,
it.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'll help with forecasting.
Topics for future meetings. I know he wants, dress code on the next agenda,
Title IX.
Title IX. We already have a draft of that, I'm assuming. We're waiting for
Shipman
that.
has a new
Waiting
updated
for-
model policy for the new regulations that
Legislation.
just changed, so.
So,
We owe, we owe the technology department. So
Oh,
research
yeah,
can be
that's
on the-
for future, but
for
not next
devices.
month.
Yeah, but we owe them the teeth to their,
Yes.
It's, I actually talked to Michael and Gary about that. So
Student or staff?
Marissa, and it's not, it's gonna be down the road.
So are we talking about student, staff, and or, are we both, are we?
For dress code.
Dress code, yeah,
Both,
okay. So,
Separately or together?
they should be separate policies.
Well, we don't have, I don't believe.
We don't have a
staff
staff
dress
dress
code
Right.
policy,
And when we talked about this 2 years ago,
right.
we talked about doing both.
so is that a lot to tackle in one meeting? You wanna,
Yeah,
right, so you wanna start with
student
students,
first.
and you wanna just bring our current student dress code? Okay,
Didn't we have a draft
we did.
from last year? So
We
let's
had,
look at
we,
that.
I think, if I'm remembering correctly, we had our policy that we had, but then there was what was in the handbooks at the individual schools
Yeah.
that was reviewed at the board level.
Yeah.
So we'll bring
But
everything
not all
we
of that
have.
was added to policy, it was decided that some of that should stay, so that was
Stay at
kind of
the
where it
school
was,
level,
that was where
building.
some of that was last year, if
Yeah.
I'm remembering
Okay.
correctly.
Yeah.
So that would be one thing, and,
that's what I remember too.
the student dress codes, but Marissa, before I forget, if you wanna just capture, because this has to go through legal, it's the facilities, our, technology, or it's more the revenue. That's why it has to go through legal. Just leave that note and then we'll talk about it after, sorry. Yeah, it's more
I
of.
did like that I could pay with a credit card on this year.
For what?
For the device.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, just in the
I have a
check.
kid.
Who has,
Julius.
who has a checkbook? I don't know, I don't,
Yeah, I
know.
just didn't do the insurance, I forgot. I'd sign the thing.
Don't break it.
The device credit. Having a policy around that.
So they tell you the high school one's $40
It's in all
now.
sixth grade today.
Because you have an math book.
25, yeah.
All right, student dress code, then faculty dress code after that. Title IX and dress code could be done at the same time, because the Title IX is basically, it is what it is.
Yeah, there will be
Yeah.
some choices for the board to consider, but yes, there's certain things that just have to be.
choices?
There's two options. I don't wanna get into the discussion here, but there's
Yeah.
two options for the investigation model, and
Okay,
I would have a recommendation for the board, but it would be
Alright.
up to the board to decide at the
Okay.
end of the day.
perfect.
Yeah, and we know now, we can pull it together and try to get it out so that folks have a chance to at least go through, because I think it's a fairly dense.
It's a long policy
Yeah.
to review, but
Yeah, if you
Um,
send it out
yeah.
sooner, then that's the
Okay.
Title IX one.
Yeah.
right, you're talking about?
Mhm.
Yeah, there was a lot of changes.
Yeah.
So, long story short, if you remember in 2020, we made a lot of changes to the Title IX policy because legislation changed. 75% of that has now been reversed to the way it was before. Then there's 25% of it that's still changed a little bit, but, so there's just a lot to just talk about the history of it.
Yep.
And we wanted
Yeah.
to bring it earlier. We would have brought it a couple of months, well,
This month, we would have brought it.
we would have brought it, but there was a pause because of Moms for Liberty group,
Mhm.
right? So we had to pause on this, but we're back in action now.
Yes.
But even if you put both of them on and you don't get to the dress code, you know what I mean, you table it for the
Yeah.
next meeting,
And at
so.
least everybody has some information.
Right, right.
Comments for the good of the order, Kristen?
None, thank
You had something you wanted to say at the last meeting, you said, oh, I'll wait.
I don't remember what it was.
Okay.
I'm in my 40s now,
John,
you
I
know,
know.
I don't know.
Good meeting,
Good.
quick meeting.
Quick,
Yeah.
got through it quick.
I was gonna say,
Yep, same, thank
I was
you.
thinking the same thing.
Wait.
Any comments? Welcome.
None?
Yes, welcome.
No, I have a comment for Kristen later about being 40, but that's another conversation.
You opened a can of worms.
Yeah. Sue?
I'm good, thank you very much.
I'm good, thank you.
Phil?
I'm good.
Ellen? Jeff? Marissa? Okay, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Knight, Mr. Fisco, we're adjourned.